Joshcast Weekend Edition. Joshcast sleeping in, worrying, sleeping in, anxiety. Joshcast Weekend Edition. I think the purpose of this podcast, what is the reason? Why are you doing this podcast? I think I'm trying to find my voice. I'm trying to find my voice. For too long I've been silent. And now I must find my voice. How can you not find your voice? You're a banshee. It's been a struggle. Unlike other banshees, I really just haven't been sure of what to scream. I'm a banshee that prefers quiet chats. I prefer to scream with my actions, thank you very much. It's time for another episode of Tessa, the socially conscious banshee. I'm Tessa. I'm a banshee. You wouldn't know it unless I said something. I don't scream a lot. I live in a condo. The walls are very thin. I don't want to cause any problems. The Andersons are very nice. They live next door. So I do very little bansheeing. Very little bansheeing. I write strongly worded letters. In fact, in every letter I write to someone who I have a problem with, it's all caps. Very easy to read, very clear in what my intentions are. Do I feel creatively stifled because I'm not allowed to express myself with my scream? Not at all. I find other ways of expressing myself that are just as satisfying. I paint. Granted, I paint using the blood of people I've killed because I can't scream, but still, I'm relatively calm most of the time. Tessa the Banshee. How am I feeling though? Well, I had spaghetti last night and that got me sick this morning, so I can't cheat with anything. And and I hate that. I hate that I cannot cheat anymore with food. I can't have bad things for me anymore. I hate that. I hate it. I want ice cream. That's a tough question. If I could have all my dreams come true or ice cream, which of the two? That's a tough one right there. I mean, on the one hand, yeah, it'd be nice to have all my dreams come true. But on the other hand, ice cream. On the other hand, ice cream. Need I say more? What more rhetorical logic do you need than that? What more do you need than that? I don't like new car designs either. Because they look like... I feel like all new cars look like what the future is kind of supposed to be, but not quite. Like they're sleek and streamlined and futuristic. Sort of. But that's the realization I'm making right now. Like the future that we're living, like when I think about growing up, 80s, 90s, and we envision the future. This really is the future that comes out of the 80s. That's the future we're in. It really is. I mean, I think we were hoping for a Star Trek future. We were hoping that we were going to turn it around, and I don't think that in many ways this is the future of the 80s. It's distressing to watch the RoboCop movie and go, oh, well, they were trying to be funny then, but now that's just real. All this is actually happening. They are sending troops to the border of Mexico. And everything is a war zone. Yeah, that's... yes, remember when it was all jokes. day I drive past this building that looks like it was built in the, I don't know, the 30s. That looks like it should be haunted. If it's not, it should be definitely haunted. That looks like a place that should be haunted. What doesn't look like a place that should be haunted? Any condo that I grew up in. That's got to be sad for a ghost to haunt a condo. Because even in the next life, they're really only barely breaking even. That's got to suck. So you've been haunting this condo now? Yes. For how long? Well, only 10 years since the condo's been built. And what did you say your name was again? Tim. I see. And how did you? I mean, did you die in the condo? No, I didn't. I actually died in another condo. Moved out here, tried to get a haunting a mansion, tried to get that position, but there's just too much. So this is the best I could do. I'm haunting this condo now, and I don't scare people in the same kind of way. I'm more of a, I just kind of lean up because I can't scare people in the same sort of way as they live in this condo because they're already scared. When they have to pay the bills and that's just what their life is, they're already in a negative state. So it's hard for me to, add to that. In fact, sometimes I feel like if I do pop up and go, here I am. I mean, I think that they're like, thanks. I'm relieved. Finally, something new to worry about that's just not the usual. So I almost feel like then I'm just helping. Driving behind a taxi cab. They gotta be pissed right now with all the Uber and the Lyft going on. With the bumper sticker, how am I driving? And people probably do call that. They probably do call that. Yes, they do. They probably call that. Yeah, Tessa the Banshee here. I'd like to report one of your cab drivers was driving very unsafely. I just want to let you know, as a Banshee, I could have screamed and destroyed their entire car and blown out their eardrums, but I didn't do that because I'm a responsible Banshee. So I am calling this phone number to let you know that car number 2758 is speeding a little bit. You may want to have a word with him. Don't fire him. I'm sure he has to feed his family. But certainly have a word with him. Certainly do that for me, please. Thank you. I don't want to give my last name. All you need to know is that I'm a socially responsible Banshee. All right? Bye-bye. So, yeah, I'm trying, I don't know, I got this thing where I do not like, for whatever ailment I may have, I do not typically like to take any kind of drugs for it. The interesting thing is that recently I came down with a cold a week before I had to go in for a minor procedure, and it was because of the anesthesia, they said you can't take any Tylenol or Advil a week before this procedure. So I was sick, and usually when I'm sick I'll take Tylenol, but this time I didn't take anything, and it was the same thing. Wasn't so bad. So I really, where possible, I try not to use the drugs. And I feel like going into any Walgreens or any drugstore, it seems like half of the medicine in the drugstore is really there to treat the results of what happens when you imbibe the other half of whatever is in a drugstore. It's like a vicious circle. And there's Pepto-Bismol, and it's right next to the giant 10-pound bag of gummy worms. One thinks that perhaps if we removed the cause, it would also change the effect. Not a fan of hot days. I like it when it's mild. And today I think it's going to shape up to be a hotter day. I don't like hotter days. It's too hard. It's too hard in the heat to be depressed. It takes twice as much energy because of the heat. So then it's just, I'm thinking, well, I could be depressed, but I'm just too lazy. So there's that. And then there's just this tiredness that comes with the heat. If you look at all the Tennessee Williams plays, he kind of even writes that into the play, and you feel that. Eugene O'Neill, on the other hand, I think writing in a cold climate, so that's way more hyper-neurotic in his writing. Whereas Tennessee Williams is, the heat, the heat, I've always depended on the kindness of strangers. I've always depended on the kindness of strangers. There was a time where I didn't depend on the kindness of strangers, and that was a dark time, but now I depend on the kindness of strangers. Streetcar named Desire. It's funny, I thought the streetcar was named Linda. That's a whole different play right there. Not a lot of conflict in that one. Older sister comes to live with her younger sister in a streetcar named Linda, and things work out. No affair with the husband, none of that. Not affair, I should say rape, that's more accurate. There we go. Really, the biggest problem that happened in a streetcar named Linda, really the biggest conflict was they drove to the Italian restaurant they always go to, and it was too busy, and the wait was going to be an hour, so then they had to drive around looking for another restaurant, and that was just incredibly frustrating. And Linda's shouting at her husband, I told you to make a reservation. Why didn't you make a reservation? Well, I didn't think it was going to be crowded. Well, but now, you should have made a reservation. You should have made a reservation, and now we'll have to go somewhere else. It's fine. We'll go to the Mexican restaurant. Yeah, well, Jim doesn't like the Mexican restaurant, okay? He asked for Italian. Well, Jim, do you like the Mexican restaurant's fine. See? Mexican restaurant's fine. He wanted the Italian. He's just saying that to people please. Streetcar named Linda, which is pretty much every conversation I've had with my parents. So that's good. Reading a lot about, it's like every Saturday or Sunday in the BBC app, there's always a review of art review. And I can't remember the name of the artist who they were reviewing today. Very good artist, very activist artist, drawing or painting about, I think she's originally from, a South American country. What was it? I think, was it Peru? Oh, God. But a country that has strict anti-abortion laws, or had them. And so she's painting, graphic paintings of women either getting an abortion, about to get an abortion, writhing in agony as a way to protest this. Very powerful work. Very powerful work that to look at is very depressing. And it should be depressing. I'd be concerned if it was not depressing. Because what I'm about to say reminds me of a bit in Picasso at Le Panegile where they're talking about you can't sell pictures of Jesus because you just can't hang Jesus in the living room like it's nothing. And this is, in a way, there's a similar angle to this, that this is this woman writhing in agony about to get an abortion. It's hard to just buy that and hang that in the dining room. Oh, that's new. Yeah, it makes a statement, doesn't it? It makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Do we want to talk about abortion now? I think we need to talk about this. Look, I'm just a friend of a friend here visiting for dinner. I don't want to, I don't want this to get heated. Oh, right? Really? No? Well, while you sit there and you don't talk about it, women are dying. That's why I put up these provocative paintings. In the bathroom, I have a painting made by a famous environmental. I had Banksy come in our bathroom, and do a mural showing a dolphin dying because it's choking on plastic in our bathroom. Because when you go into that bathroom, I want you to think about how horrible of a person you are. Because you are. You're filth. You disgust me. So will you be at the PTA meeting next week? That's the tough thing about that. Great painting, though. Influenced by Degas. Degas? This painter I'm talking about was influenced by Degas, who painted ballerinas, and a lot of ballerinas. Too many ballerinas, to the point where people think he had a problem. People going, Degas, you're scaring the girls, Degas. We need to practice our ballet. Why don't we call it a night, Degas? They're not going to, no, Degas, they're not, you can't go into the changing room. No. Nope. It's, listen, you have a lot of talent. We support you all the way, but we think maybe you need to make yourself a bit scarce. Thank you. Best of luck. We can still see you through the window, Degas. We can still see you through the window. I think in middle school, one of our assignments in art class was we had to take a painting and then write a play about it. And that we had to begin and end with the tableau of the painting. And I think we did ballerinas from Degas. And the joke was that they all went bowling. That in the tableau, they're like, all right, let's go bowling. And they started to bowl. And that was our hot take on the Degas painting that we did. But I'm a fan of art. I am not a fan of the abstract stuff. And I hate to say that because I don't want to poop on somebody else's artistic vision. But when I look at a wall and I see a painting and it's a square with a line, I'm like, all right. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's great. Good. I get your point. Thank you. Can you draw? All right, great. Now, a lot of these artists who do those kinds of abstract work, they could draw a bowl of fruit and it would look amazing. They have that ability. But I'd like to, maybe if they do the square with the bowl of fruit, so that they can say to the world, yes, I could draw a bowl of fruit if I wanted to, but instead, I want you to ponder death, or whatever it is they're trying to ponder in their square. That would be nice. I'd appreciate that. I would appreciate that. I'm torn on this. I think it's ridiculous that that there's money involved. I'm talking about this with painting, but I guess this could apply to everything. That the Mona Lisa is that much money. But is it really that much better than all of the other art out there that is existing and exists right now? I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying, is that disparity of how much it is worth, is that based off of anything other than human neuroses? Or is it that expensive because nobody knows what she's thinking? Is that why it's that popular? Because nobody knows what she's thinking, and we're that fascinated by this? Is that really what is going on with this? That is why that is so popular. Because her expression might be, oh, you're an idiot. Or it might be, oh, I want to have carnal relations with you. Or it might be, you're an idiot and I want to have carnal relations with you. Or it might be every emotion. Maybe that's what it is. Or it just might be gas. It was if Leonardo da Vinci got the Mona Lisa, sat her down and said, okay, on the count of 3, say, there is no God. Well, it looks like we're at the end of this podcast. I don't know what we accomplished. But it's the end of the weekend version of the podcast. It's the end of the weekend version of the podcast. Don't you feel glorious? Don't forget that famous quote made by the Mona Lisa with her eyes.